But
Yeah, that's true. And I read that
I
article.
look at it as a housing issue. He's the one,
I'd like to call the finance committee to order. And get a double dose of Frank today.
Yes.
What he said.
Double dose of Frank. That's okay.
So we need a motion to approve the minutes from the prior finance committee.
Okay.
Moved by Supervisor Fraser. Seconded by Supervisor Jirachi. Any comments, changes? Call the question, all in favor?
I,
Vote. Carried, privilege of the floor and public comment. Anyone have any issues? Okay. We'll move on to the action agenda, and the first item is a request for transfer of funds. It's attached for committee approval.
We on 2A?
No, we're on one,
1, 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
couple pages.
This has been through the committee. Make a motion.
Moved by Supervisor Jirachi.
I'll second.
Seconded by Supervisor Fraser. Any questions about the transfer of funds? Various departments. Hearing none, I'll question, all in favor,
I,
opposed? Carried. Number 2. These are items to be discussed by the county administrator, Mr. Tappan. The first item A is a journal report of transfers approved by the county administrator for July. Any questions on those? Okay, we'll move on to B, and that's a request to provide the county administrator authority to transfer funds between departmental budgets upon consultation with the personnel, administration, and higher education and finance committee chairs when circumstances arise where a shortage in salary codes occur upon the hiring of new employees. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what brought this to light was Wayne Lamont needed to move $3,000 from his part-time salary to full-time salary fund, or vice versa. I can't remember, but and we bring it before the board, and the board has to vote on a resolution. And what I'd like to do is be able to, when it's movement between that budget line, then if, as long as it doesn't require additional funds outside of the individual department's budget, like to be able to move that rather than have to bring that, because we brought several of them this year for about $2,500 and $3,000, and trying to cut down on those resolutions. So as long as it stays within the same budget line, we think we're okay.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Supervisor Fraser, seconded by Supervisor Jirachi. Mr. Beatty.
Yeah, I understand the intent and that's good, but I'm not gonna be for this. When we take the full committee and the board out of the process, even when it's moving funds around, I get a little uneasy. I don't see a desperate need. I understand what you said, John, but I don't see a real big need to limit the amount of people who are moving the money around. In fact, if anything, I like to see more elected officials involved, not less. So I'm gonna have to vote against it.
One thing I should have mentioned, Supervisor, it will appear on the journal report of transfer. So that, as you see, the journal report of transfers for the county administrator. So it still does come before the committee when we do that.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's all within the point ones.
Yeah, within the one
So regular salaries, overtime, and part-time,
and part-time.
all within one department.
Correct. Within one department, not between departments.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the question.
And just a real quick question, so. Within the salary budget codes, you can move the part-time to overtime and this and that. The only time the full board will become involved is when, if you expended all your money from part-time into full-time and you needed money, then you're gonna come back from that board.
If you need additional money from the.
You need additional money, so, okay, all right.
I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 2C is a request to authorize a new contract with SPCA of Upstate New York in an amount not to exceed $8,000 per month for animal cruelty investigation services pursuant to the terms and provisions of the specifications of WC 50-23 and proposal, as well as to authorize appropriation of funds from the unappropriated surplus to fund the same. And you're well aware of our efforts to come up with a reasonable solution with SPCA. Right now, we currently have no organization or no one doing animal cruelty cases. If we don't have a contract with someone to do it, it falls back on the sheriff to try to figure it out. The sheriff has no place to. We went through, I found out that the undersheriff, they picked up a dog and the undersheriff took the dog home because he had no place to put it. So we ran our first, if you remember, first RFP was for and we had a bid from SPCA of Upstate New York, and they wanted $15,000 a month. We thought that was excessive. And so we did not approve that proposal. We sent out a second proposal for animal cruelty cases because we became aware there was an SPCA of Warren County who wanted to submit a bid. So we sent an additional RFP out, and no one bid on that one. So we sent a third RFP out, and SPCA of Upstate New York submitted the only bid. So we were not comfortable initially with just providing $8,000 a month to ensure they would be there when needed. So we entered into negotiation with them, and we got a pretty good benefit, we believe, for this $8,000 we're providing monthly. There were a lot of different items that they agreed to perform for us, but one of the most critical was each year the sheriff gets about 1,000 calls and reports of animal cruelty. And in a lot of cases, in many of those cases, they dispatch a patrol officer out to check that out, to find out that it's not really an animal cruelty case. It's a neighbor who was concerned that, hey, my neighbor's treating their dog incorrectly or things like this. The SPCA is trained to work with those types of situations. And what they're going to do is take the initial call that comes through and do kind of a triage for us. And if they believe, a lot of times, and they believe 80 to 90% of the calls they will resolve on the phone with the person who's making the complaint. If there are some that the sheriff needs to respond to, they'll send it to dispatch, and the sheriff will dispatch a patrol officer to cover that. And that's a big benefit to us. The sheriff was very pleased with that result. So this has been through the committee, and I think we've had a really good discussion about it. So appreciate support on this.
Moved by Supervisor Dirachi, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Beatty.
Yeah, now certain towns already have contracts with animal cruelty providers, correct?
They have certain contracts for dog control. So that is the other point of this is the SPCA of Upstate New York will give the code to the building to the sheriff's office. So if they do pick up a stray dog someplace, and this happens frequently too, the patrol officers out there, somebody says, hey, there's a stray dog roaming around. They pick them up and put them in their patrol car. They've had no place to take them. In this case, they will take them to SPCA, they'll have a code, they'll take the dog and put it in a crate. And the next day, then the SPCA will work with the dog control officer in the various towns to make arrangements to take care of the animal. So that's a good result for us too.
So why would a town even have their own separate? I know some towns do, some towns don't.
Well, every town, this is a responsibility, have to have it.
Yeah, but there's some that don't, I had heard.
I don't know who doesn't. The state would, if you don't, the state's gonna ask why not, and they're gonna force you to have it. And the other reason is that if you get a dog barking call, or a loose dog, there's no need to send the sheriff to the town of Horicon.
Right.
We have an animal control officer.
So, okay, so you already have something in place. So this is on top of that then.
Well, animal cruelty.
Cruelty
This is a
is
whole
separate.
different-
Yeah, so we're now just talking specifically about animal cruelty. For on a county aspect, yet every town has their own. Animal off.
No, it's actually dog. So the requirement for each town by the statute is to have a dog control officer. Every town pretty much has one. Some of our smaller towns share one. Queensbury, for example, has a contract with SPCA of upstate New York. And SPCA of upstate does dog control under a separate contract for Queensbury. And I think they're working to do a separate one for Glens Falls as well. Because they've done that in the past. But that's for dog control. Basically, the sheriff's department takes any other animal. So a lizard, a snake, horse, cat, a horse, in that case, they'd be responsible for all of that. If it's a wild animal, the DEC has that responsibility.
So I'm clear in my mind. So this is really a contract. For animal cruelty that the towns don't have in their current contracts for animal cruelty.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Animal cruelty countywide.
Right,
One of these
but
cases.
the towns don't have that in their current contracts so. Animal cruelty cases have fallen in the past to the county, even though we didn't have a contract for that
What has
with upstate.
In 2018, we had a contract in place. We terminated that contract. SPCA of upstate New York has been doing our animal cruelty cases pro bono, basically, since then. It got to the point last year when they said they can no longer do it pro bono. The average animal cruelty case runs about $40,000 as an average. Because of all the things they have to do to prepare it to go to trial, working with the district attorney's office, et cetera. So that's what happened this year, where they came forward and said, we can't do this free anymore. So we don't have anyone doing it for us right now.
And where are we getting the financing for this, the finances? We're gonna take out of the general fund or 8,000 a month out of the general fund? Frank, just out of curiosity, I know you're not the chairman. Do you know what our general funding number is? Yeah, where are we?
As far as fund balance,
Yeah,
40 minus a couple.
49 plus or minus.
and so you're comfortable with this, Frank?
Yeah, I think it's necessary.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask just two questions just to clarify? There's the reference on the resolution request of 60 days written notice. That's for termination by one party or both parties? It says 2 additional 1-year terms, 60 days written notice. I'm assuming that's a termination provision.
Yeah, it's written into the LMP,
Okay.
so whatever the bid documents.
And then the plus, it's $8,000, it's an $8,000 a month fee. And there are some additional expenses that are passed through costs that are all listed in the RFP.
All in the RFP.
I just wanted to clarify those 2 points for the resolution.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll call the question, see.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 2D is a request to transfer funds totaling $2,000 to cover the cost of attendance to the fall NISAC conference and the purchase of desk chairs.
I'll bring it to the floor.
Okay, moved by Ed. Seconded by Mr. McGratchy. Assume we'll take this out of contingent. Okay.
We have the money within our budget
Oh,
to
yeah.
transfer it.
Oh, okay,
Just transfer,
okay,
but it's not in the salary line, so.
okay. Any other questions? Call the question on 2D, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, 3, these are items to be discussed by the county treasurer, Mr. Swan. First is to us. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I just up here because I know somebody will have a question. But I would like to, just before we get started, introduce everybody who I haven't hit yet. Christine Norton is here. She is going to be my successor come January 1, and she's been kind enough to come in and sit and listen and try to absorb as much as she can before she gets there. So please, let's not scare her off, okay? All right. You want me to go ahead, Frank?
Sure.
All right, the first request is to amend to create a budget code for a reserve PCB, I'm sorry, settlement fund in the amount of $17,414.03. We received a check from this organization and really didn't solicit it, but it came in, and so in order to use the money, we have to put it in the budget, so we have to create a separate account.
I'll move that. I'll move that.
Moved by Supervisor Beatty. Seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any questions for the treasurer? We have a question on 3A, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. B.
This is something that we do annually. The Highmark requests that, which is our health insurance carrier, requests that we issue them a letter of credit so that they can access our account in case we don't pay our monthly bill. This year, they're looking for that to be $224,000. We've been arguing back and forth with them about this because we have never not paid our bill, number one, and number two, we don't even pay the bill. They access our account directly to pull off what they need every month to cover the cost of claims. So to me, it's kind of stupid, but this is something that they're requesting. The county attorney's office has dealt with them for 3 years on this. They still refuse to relent. So in order to do this and have the bank satisfied with it and the health insurance company, we need a resolution.
Introduced by Supervisor Frazier. Seconded by Supervisor Geraci. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Beatty.
So. So Highmark is saying we want $250,000 to make sure you pay your bills.
Well, we pay more than that every month, okay? So what they're saying is if we don't pay our monthly bill for services rent, in other words, claims that come in from the employees, then they want the ability to go in and just grab $250,000 to cover that cost. But what's foolish about it is they already have access to our account and they automatically take out on a 30-day period, whatever they have fronted for claims.
So have we done this every year?
Every year since we've been dealing, well, it actually started with Blue Shield before we went to Highmark. So as long as we've been self-insured, we've been doing this. So that's 6 years.
So Mike, do you know if other counties, I doubt if you research, but do other counties get that are self-insured get hit up for $250,000 every year?
Well, this does nothing come, we don't ever spend this month, okay? This is what they want just in case we don't pay.
Okay, so
So
we're not being charged. This isn't a charge that
No,
goes against it.
no.
They just want to have access to be able to charge up to $221,000.
Right. In case we don't pay
In
our,
case we don't. pay.
but we never not pay the bill because they already have access to our account to pull out. what-
Right, they're basing it.
Where this comes in and what their attorneys told me was. That this is when this is instituted for private companies, okay? Because this, if a business goes broke, right, and has no money. And doesn't pay their bill, they want the ability to go in and get their money and pull it out before anybody else does.
Right.
We're not going anywhere, we pay our bill. So it's kind of a waste of time, but they refuse to relent, so here we are.
I'm fine with it.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to go back, if we could, to 2C. There are actually,
Yeah, we'll vote on this. first.
oh, I'm sorry.
So I'll call the question on 3B. All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that. I'd like to go back to 2C. There are actually two resolutions there. The first resolution was to approve the contract with SPCA of Upstate. And the second resolution was to authorize the appropriation of funds from the unappropriated surplus. We mentioned that, but we have to vote on that resolution.
So moved by Supervisor Dirachi. And seconded by Supervisor Frazier. This is to remove 96,000 from the general fund balance.
I believe it's
36,000 for the rest of the year.
Oh, sorry.
36,000, it goes into sheriff runs the contract.
Okay, 36,000 from the general fund. For 2023. Questions? All the questions, all in favor?
I,
Aye, opposed?
Thank you.
Sure. We're on to number 4, and this is referrals from the Criminal Justice Public Safety Committee. Chaired by Supervisor Geraci. First is the assigned council. That's a request to amend the Warren County budget for 2023 in the amount of $29,031 to reflect receipt of year one of the indigent legal services distribution number 13 funding. Introduced by Supervisor Geraci,
second,
seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any questions on that? Call the question, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. 4B is from the Office of Emergency Services. And this is a request to amend resolution number 583 of 2021. To authorize a credit card to be issued in the name of the Director of Office of Emergency Services with a $5,000 spending limit to be used for travel, general, and emergency purposes.
This was thoroughly vetted by the committee and supported by the administrator, so I'll move it.
Introduced by Supervisor Geraci,
second it.
by Supervisor Frazier. I believe we have a handout.
A handout?
Yep.
Okay, that's a bonus. Thanks.
Mics are working. Oh, they all got 'em.
Letter M is the addition.
But there's a couple other changes, I think that Amy wants to. Okay.
When we were reviewing this, if I may, when we were reviewing this for the Office of Emergency Services, we saw some inconsistencies in the credit card policy. So and a couple of changes we need to make. One was the social services, it's not social services director, it's commissioner of social services. And then some of the cards were allowed for travel, some for general purposes, so we cleaned that up. In addition, we wanted to increase the limit for some of our departments. What's happening is they're just over that current $1,000. So they have to come and use one of the county credit cards. And it makes it just more cumbersome for us. They'll still have to fall within the purchasing policies. So anything $500 or more is going to require a purchase order. The purchasing policy will allow purchases depending upon what it is. There could be a $3,000 limit for 3 quotes. And then after that, you may have to have put out an RFP if it's over $20,000. So they'll still have to follow that, but we just wanted to clean this up, this schedule up to kind of make it consistent among departments.
Yeah.
I just have a question for you, if I can. The credit card that I have, that I've been given to my department. Specifically, can you tell me what that's for? Because I've been told it's not travel. So is everybody gonna be on the same kind of thing? Okay.
That's what this will do for you. It'll increase that limit to $5,000 and it'll be travel and general use purposes. That'll be helpful. I know you use it for the Bloom Festival. I think in the past, it's been used for that. I know recently we had a member from your staff had to go down to the flatbed, I believe, and get a vehicle. So that kind of, we had to go back and forth with trying to get them another card because it could be over the limit or whatever. This will help, I think, with some of that. And again, create consistency among the departments and the county auditors.
Thanks, Frank.
Any other questions or discussion? So on the issue of 4B, I'll call the question. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Tim. 4C, and this is from the sheriff. It's a request to amend the Warren County budget for 2023 in the amount of $204,754 to reflect appropriate revenues and expenses for the first half of the school resource officer service agreement. Moved by Supervisor Garachi, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any questions or discussion? Yes.
This is just money coming back from the schools for our SROs, right?
Yep.
Simple as that.
Call the question. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. Number 5 is a referral from the Economic Growth and Development Committee, chaired by Supervisor McDevitt. Workforce Development, and it's a request to amend the Warren County budget for 2023 in the amount of $776,994.52 to reflect receipt of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act federal grant allocation for 2023. Moved by Supervisor Garachi, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any questions? Call the question. All in favor?
I,
Carried. Number 6 is a referral from the Health Services Committee, chaired by Supervisor Frazier. And from the Office of Community Services and Mental Health. This is a request to amend the Warren County budget for 2023 in the amount of $147,000 to allow for expenditure of opioid settlement funds to address the impacts of the opioid crisis in Warren County. Seconded by Katie. Any questions? Call the question. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. Number 7, this is a referral from the Public Works Committee, chaired by Supervisor Conover. The first item is the Parks, Recreation and Railroad Department, and it's a request to amend the Warren County budget for 2023 in the amount of $2,500 to reflect receipt of funds awarded from the town of Bolton occupancy tax. Moved by Supervisor Garachi, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any questions? Yes.
So Bolton's giving back 2,500 in their octax money. Is that how I read this?
I think it goes up beyond that.
Oh,
right, yeah.
Okay.
On 7A, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. 7B is from the Department of Public Works. And it's a request to establish capital project 427 Olmstedville Road, County Route 19 over Marshall Brook Culvert, New York. NY, in the town of Chester in the amount of $1,500,000. Moved by Supervisor Frazier. Seconded by Supervisor Garachi. Is this state aid, federal aid?
Yeah, both this one and the next one that is the next established capital project are from the Culvert, New York money that we received, and we received the max amount for both these culverts, so each one of them are $1.5 million.
Questions? Call the question on 7B, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. 7C is also to request to establish capital project number H428, and this is for Bay Road, County Route 7 over unnamed watercourse south of Blackhart Mountain in the town of Queensbury, also in the amount of $1,500,000. By Supervisor Frazier. And seconded by Supervisor Garachi. Any discussion? Call the question on 7C, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. 7D is a request to increase the capital project number H425 Adirondack Bridge and Beaver Pond Bridge replacements over Mill Brook in the town of Horkin in the amount of $31,750. By Supervisor Frazier, seconded by Supervisor Beatty. Discussion? No. Call the question, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. Okay, number 8 is Finance Committee action on the following personnel agenda items. These were all approved. Let's see.
Can we bundle them together? Do a bundle, like they do on,
So this is for agenda items on the Personnel Committee of 3, 4A and B and 5. Moved by Supervisor Beatty. Seconded by Supervisor Garachi. Any questions or discussion on any of those?
No.
Call the question, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. Pending items, we have none. Privilege of the floor.
okay. Everybody have that motion on.